This tutorial I will describe how to set up the PCO-Edge camera on an EasyRatioPro system. From the Setups menu, select Hardware Setup. Under the camera, you will see Norpix Grabber. Click the Setup button. This will open up the Select Grabber dialog box. Scroll to the list until you find Cook PCO. Then, click the Load button to load the grabber. The camera will be scanned, and you will be prompted with the Success or Failure dialog. In this case, the PCO was successfully loaded. Next, we should take a look at some of the settings and adjustments. These can be determined from the Properties. Click Properties, and this will open up properties about the camera. The image sensor is quite large on this camera, 2560 by 2160. If we wish to take a subarray, we can decrease the size of this sensor. For this example, let's go with something around 1K by 1K. And when I say apply, the size will be rounded to a coordinate that is suitable for the camera system. Under Settings, we'll go through the pixel clock. At this frequency, the camera is capable of achieving 30 frames per second. At this frequency, the camera can do 100 frames per second. Since we don't need 100 frames per second and we want less read noise, I'll go with the 95 megahertz readout. That gives us a conversion factor of 0.45 electrons per count. We can turn timestamping on the image with this setting. I'll leave it at none. If you were to activate binary and ASCII, the image would be stamped with the physical actual timestamp right on the image. This can be useful for certain situations. Next is Trigger. We'll leave it at disabled since we will be internally triggering the camera in the software. The sensor format should be set to standard. Acquire Control left at auto. Exposure base, it's important to change this to milliseconds. The delay base should also be in milliseconds. The shutter mode can be set to rolling shutter or global shutter. For 95% of applications, rolling shutter will be suitable. Hot pixel correction should be turned on for all of these scientific CMOS cameras, and it's also a good idea to put on the noise filter. That concludes the settings. Next, we'll go to the Adjustments tab, and you can see the camera has been interrogated, and these are the available adjustments that can be made in the camera while the camera is streaming. We can adjust the frame rate, the exposure time, the delay, the temperature, and the cooling point. So I'll leave all of these settings at the default values, and we'll map a couple of these parameters to our controllers. In order to do the mapping, I will discuss that in the next tutorial.